Yo, what's going on, YouTube? And welcome back to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy, Kevin Forte, and today we are taking a look at some Vegas Golden Knights signings. So, they are bringing back a couple of players to the roster. They're not any of the big names, but it could lead to things further down the road for the Golden Knights, so we'll talk about that today. So, the Golden Knights re-signed 3 players to their roster. And the biggest one being defenseman Brayden McNabb, signing a 3-year contract that will pay him $2.85 million per season. That's a pretty nice contract there for Brayden McNabb. He's been a nice defenseman for the Vegas Golden Knights. He's a little bit more of a gritty, tough to play against defenseman. And he's been around in the NHL for a while now, specifically in the Western Conference. He's kind of been shaking his way around the league, but now he's kind of found a home in Vegas, and he has been very good for the team. You look at his career, he's 31 years old. He was a third-round pick in 2009. His first pro season was back in the 2011-12 season with the Rochester Americans, as he was a Buffalo Sabres draft pick. He ended up getting traded to the Los Angeles Kings in 2013, where he ended the 2013-14 season, where he then played with the AHL's Manchester Monarchs. They actually won a Calder Cup championship that season, and then since then he's been a member of the Los Angeles Kings. He inevitably went to the Vegas Golden Knights during the expansion era, and he has now been in the Vegas Golden Knights organization since the 2017-2018 season, which again was their first full season. He's been with the team ever since. He has been with the organization now for 5 seasons, including this year, and Brayden McNabb has lugged a lot of hockey over his career, over 500 games in the NHL. He only has 107 points. He's not a point-producing defenseman, though. He is a much more defensive-minded. He's not afraid to drop the gloves. He's got over 400 penalty minutes in his NHL career. That is where he stands out, and that is really one of the bigger things about Brayden McNabb, is he is a bit more of a fighter, and that has lessened over the last couple of years. You look at his penalty minutes, they've gone down significantly here over the past 3 or 4 years, but again, we've also had less games, so that is also part of the equation with that. But even with that, his game plan in Vegas has been much different than what it was in LA. He was much more the just drop the gloves defenseman, kind of like a Jason Garrison or a Radko Gudas. He is much more of the, I would like to compare more to like an Adam Pelech of the Islanders. Not the skill of Adam Pelech, but the same type of much more defensive-minded defenseman. And I think he has done a very nice job with this team and been a critical part of the development of that blue line. I mean, you look at where he's been a top 4 defenseman throughout his career in really the last 5 years as a member of the Golden Knights. He's currently playing on the second pair right now with defenseman Shea Theodore, who is obviously a critical part of this team. And you look at this top 4, Nick Hague, Alex Pietrangelo, Brayden McNabb, and Shea Theodore, to have a core piece of your defense locked up for the next 3 years at a very reasonable contract, under $3 million per year. I think that's a great job there by Kelly McCrimmon and the Golden Knights locking up McNabb. The other 2 guys, Mikey Amadio, also known as Michael Amadio, he is re-signed to a 2-year deal as well, a 2-year deal instead of a 3-year deal at a $762K annual average value. I think that's another, again, more of a depth signing there for the Golden Knights, just to add more depth down the middle. He is currently not on the team's roster in terms of their starting lineup. But that is all part of the just adding depth to your organization. And again, quite fittingly enough, also a member of the Los Angeles Kings. But more recently, Mikey Amadio has kind of been bouncing around. He came into the NHL, again, a Los Angeles Kings draft pick in the 3rd round. And he was a member of the Kings. His first his first pro season was back in 2015 as a member of the Ontario Reign. He's had a couple years in the NHL as well. under his belt. Most recently, though, the last couple of years, he's been up in Canada with the Ottawa Senators and the Toronto Maple Leafs. He has 201 games in his NHL career, so just over 200 games. He is on the bit of a younger side. He is still 25 years old. This is probably as good as it gets for Mikey Amadio, a bottom six, quite honestly, more of a scratch pad defenseman, a scratch pad forward center, but a good two-way player. Again, he's got some points. He's got almost 50 points in his career, so he's a point every 4 games. That's not too bad. I mean, realistically, he's not Connor McDavid or Nathan McKinnon or anybody like that, but he does produce, and that is something that has to be accounted for. I mean, you look at his career in the NHL, his 25 games this season for Vegas, he has picked up 7 points in 25 games, which, again, around 3 to 4 points, or 3 or 4 games, he picks up a point. So he's not picking up a point every night. He's not that consistent, but he's getting paid the value that he probably is. But I don't think the Vegas Golden Knights mind that too much. It is a upgrade in pay for Mikey Amadio. He's currently on a contract right now that is paying him $717.5K per year. So he is seeing a slight bump in his raise. So he's making another $50K per season. That's pretty much pebbles compared to the millions of dollars some of these other guys are making. But that's a nice improvement there from Michael Amadio, and it probably helps him with his situation. So congratulations there. The other guy is a goaltender. So they brought in they re-signed a center, a depth center in Mikey Amadio. They bring back a big top 4 defenseman in Brayden McNabb, and they bring in Logan Thompson. They re-signed him, kind of like Brayden McNabb, lesser dollars, but a 3-year contract, similar to Mikey Amadio, at $766K per year. Logan Thompson has been a little bit of a journeyman himself, very similar to our buddy Mikey Amadio. Logan Thompson has been bouncing around the league for a while. He's actually played in the ECHL as well. That's really where he got his pro start in the 2018 season with the Adirondack Thunder. He played in the AHL with the Binghamton Devils, so he was a part of the Devils organization for a little while. He was an undrafted goaltender, found his way into the NHL there. He played with the South Carolina Stingrays, which was a part of the Capitals organization. And then, inevitably, in the 2020 season, that is when he got his shot with the Golden Knights. He played 1 game with the Knights, spent most of that his season with the Henderson Silver Knights. He played 23 games that year. He's only played 2 games in the NHL, which this season he played in 1 game for the team. But most of his career has been with the Vegas Golden Knights AHL affiliate, where he's played 44 games in the past 2 seasons in Henderson with the expansion to the AHL's Henderson Silver Knights, where he's actually done okay. His first season with Henderson, he put up a 1.96 goals against average, which isn't too bad. He did have a .943 save percentage, which, again, in a pretty large sample size, 23 games, really not too bad there for him. He picked up 16 wins as well. So, 16 wins in 23 games, that's pretty impressive there in his first season. Things have declined a little bit this year, to say the least. In 21 games this season for Henderson, he has a 2.62 goals against average and a .928 save percentage, which puts him as a professional at an .893 save percentage, which is not that great. So, for the most part, it's been kind of an up and down road for Logan Thompson. Legitimately, he is a 3rd goalie option for the Golden Knights at this point, maybe even a 4th, behind Robin Lehner, Laurent Brossoit, and he's kind of in that mix between 3 and 4 in Henderson. He is still 24 years old, so there is the potential over the next 2 years, really the next 3 years, right, that maybe he becomes a backup in the NHL. We know goaltenders take a little bit longer to develop. And considering he comes from the Brandon Wheat Kings in the WHL, he actually played at Brock University at the end of his time in the WHL. went undrafted. He ends up going to the ECHL. He's taken the long road. So I think this is really good for Logan Thompson, that he's getting a shot here over the next 3 years to become the starter in Henderson and kind of assert himself in that role and maybe even get the jump to maybe becoming a backup of the Vegas Golden Knights. Things are kind of locked down right now with Laurent Brossoit and Robin Lehner, but in the next 2 years with Laurent Brossoit maybe looking for an extension, maybe to become a backup or a starter with more money somewhere else, that could leave a void there for Logan Thompson to maybe take that next step. So guys, that is it for today's video. Recap real quick. Logan Thompson, the goalie, re-signs for a 3-year deal on an AHL contract to stay with the Henderson Silver Knights. Mikey Amadio gets some stability as well, a 2-year deal on a $700K contract, as well as the bigger contract really here being going to Brayden McNabb, the 31-year-old defenseman, a 3-year deal at a very nice contract at $2.85 million per season. Let me know your guys' thoughts down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again next time.